Going live in 3. Oh, we're live, but starting in 3, 2, 1. A good day, fellow geeks. In this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be talking about Blizzard at Gamescom. We're going to be talking about some earnings calls that they did and other YouTubers using our theories. All that and more. This week's episode, Geeks of Azeroth.
You're listening to the Blizzard Community Podcast, produced by geeks, for geeks. Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
That's right, it's time for Geeks of Azeroth, episode 129. My name is Tarley, and with me, as always, we've got Britzza.
Hello.
And we've got Epic Geek SleepyGary.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Are you awake? You ready to go?
No, I'm pretty tired, honestly.
Right.
I was up way too late last night, so...
Yeah, we all were playing a game that isn't Blizzard related, but it's super fun. Super fun. Gary, why don't you kick off the week? Tell us what you've been playing and tell us about, you know, that game that isn't a Blizzard game.
So I've got first world problems and WoW. I decided to start playing my Arms Warrior instead of playing my Warlock with some of the changes we've made, and shot calling on an Affliction lock is terrible. So, yeah, went to Arms Warrior because it's like 4 buttons and it feels good, right? But then I proceeded to get the absolute worst legendaries I could.
Aww.
So I've got Pride as, so essentially I can screw up mechanics every 30 seconds and not get punished.
But it's a stat stick. Pride as is a stat stick for anyone.
Pride as is a stat stick. I'll give you that. And then my second one that I got is the Warrior Ring that gives you an extra talent, which is all fine and dandy, except the talent that it gives me is literally unusable as soon as I get my 4-piece from Tomb. Because... warriors have a cooldown called Battle Rage. Makes you spend less rage when you are in Battle Cry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. The ring makes you spend less rage when you use the cooldown, but you use the cooldown and then immediately pop an ability that lasts the entire time of that cooldown and costs 0 rage because of your 4-piece. So... literally does nothing for me, besides is a decent stat stick. But, you know, I kind of would prefer not to have stat sticks for my legendaries.
All right.
And then I've been playing PUBG with you. So
if you don't know what PUBG is, it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's intense.
It's so much fun.
You feel really like you're going to die. And then you do most of the time.
Yeah, so much fun.
But on occasion, you take other people out first, and then it feels fantastic.
I watched a video. When you mentioned that in the Discord server, I watched a video, and it was 50 people doing synchronized swimming and then shooting each other and then lobbing frying pans and stuff. So if that's the gameplay, then I'm in. It's probably not the gameplay, is it?
Maybe. I don't know. Yes. Sorry, I got distracted. I was reading a Discord. Anyway, Britzza, why don't you tell us about what you've been up to? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to think. My brain's now not thinking about Blizzard games. So it's mostly been like a lot of Lucio Ball this week. I've actually been really enjoying that. And I think, I've got kind of okay at it, but going into the competitive mode of it it's just as toxic in some ways as Overwatch competitive is, which is really sort of dampening me a little bit, because you go in and you think this is actually a really cool game. It's a great way to spend 6 or 7 or 8 minutes just messing about. And then at the higher levels, you just get shouted at like so often, and especially like when it's like 14-year-old kids that are just bashing on in a language you can't understand. So that's been fun. But other than that, I've been doing a bit of Heroes of the Storm and playing with Garrosh. and he's an interesting hero. I know it's a bit late to the I'm a bit late to the party talking about him, but he's really fun to play. That throw ability he has is fantastic. It completely changes some of the dynamics of the fights and the encounters. But
so Icarus, on that throw real quick, Icarus and I, our friend Icarus, we tested something out pretty hilariously. So we found out that so I was Diva and he was Garrosh. We were just owning the map as double tanking comp. And I decided to detonate my ability. People started running away and he threw my suit at them. It was fantastic. So yes, you can do that as Garrosh.
And the great thing is that there's an option you can take which gives you the throw ability for an ally. So at one point, at most points in the game, you're going to have a throw ability to throw a nearby enemy and an ability to throw a nearby ally. So you just end up chucking people all around the map, and it just gets a bit mental very quickly.
Yeah, you do have to have that talent to chuck Diva's suit, but
yeah. But it's worth it, and I like 10-Ton Hammer recommending it, so it's kind of the go-to. But really enjoying him, if anything, and I tweeted about this yesterday. There's a great article on 10-Ton Hammer about his first impressions on Garrosh, and I have to agree with some of the points in that he just feels like when he's not using those weird and wonderful abilities, he just seems a bit plain and dull. It's like he's swinging that axe, and you don't feel like he's swinging Gorehound at all. You know, there's no thunk. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like he could have been jazzed up a little bit, but I guess that's
at least he makes a lot of
noises, which is fun. But no, I totally recommend checking him out. He's definitely a cool hero, and really good solo tank, really good.
Yeah. And myself, been starting to feel the WoW burnout, which we will talk about in a little bit. So I've been playing some other games, Starcraft, which again we'll also talk about that later in news. PUBG with Gary, PUBG is so much fun. It's so addicting. Definitely recommend checking out PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds if you have not. It's super fun, pretty cheap, half the price of a normal game. So, and you probably get way more hours out of it as some $60 games on the market right now. So, totally worth it. But a game I wanted to talk about. Again, it's not Blizzard related at all, but I played it. It's like one of those kind of experience games more than it is an actual game. But it's called Hellblade. It's a game on Steam for $30, and oh man, it is the trippiest game I've ever played. So, have you guys heard or played Gone Home?
No.
Nope.
That's basically a game where you wander around a house and a story is basically told for you. So it's a mixture of an experience game like that meets Dark Souls.
Okay.
So it'll just randomly throw you into a combat situation, and there's absolutely no HUD, and it just kind of assumes you know how to dodge and roll and not get killed. And if you die enough times in this game, it starts over. So you have to keep that in mind. But the reason it's so cool is that you're playing a schizophrenic character. And I heard from podcasters, as well as the game itself tells you from the get-go that it recommends headphones. So I put on headphones immediately and started playing the game. And it's so creepy and odd because you're constantly getting whispers in your ear, and it has this really good surround sound effect that it just literally feels like there's somebody. It gave me chills. Like you feel like someone's literally whispering in your ear. And so you're this... it takes place in like Nordish gods, like you're searching for Helya basically, and so you're this Nordish chick with schizophrenia. It's just such an unbelievable experience. It only takes about 3 hours to beat 3 or 4 hours to beat the game. I can't recommend it enough. Super fun.
It's going to be super cool to see what other games like that come out, because with VR especially becoming more mainstream.
Oh god, if that game was VR, it'd be even more.
Yeah. I just think that these are the games we're going to want to see more of. I mean, you're right. Yeah, maybe they only take 3 or 4 hours, but
and it totally makes you question yourself. Like you start going down this path, and it's like she doesn't know where she's going. She's lost. She can't go that way. I'm like, oh, stop it. Yeah, totally.
I sense another YouTube video coming.
I know. I'm definitely thinking about that. But yeah, I think it's time we jump right into our first segment of the show. It's time for News of the Week.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the Week. That's right, it's time for news of the week, and we've got some stuff to talk about that is news-worthy. We're going to start talking off about Starcraft Remastered. That came out actually at a surprising time. I don't know about you, Gary, but I came home from work on Monday, and it's just like, oh, hey, it's Starcraft.
I actually knew that it was coming out. Granted, they didn't cover it like terribly well. But if you follow a lot of, StarCraft personalities, it was pretty easy to pull up on that it was coming out on the 14th, which I do. So, but it came out. It looks fantastic. I mean, still looks like an old game, but now it looks like an old game in 4K, which is definitely a step up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is amazing because I've been playing the original, trying to get better at it, like, because you can download it for free, basically. And then it really is, it's just a better looking version of that. And it's really cool because you can hit F5 and just in real time it'll change back to the old graphics. And that's super cool. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I suck at it. But I'm trying
you and me both, buddy.
Trying to get better, but oh man, like I can't believe how good people are at this game. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just totally on another level than StarCraft 2. But yeah, it's definitely fun to play.
There are people who have been waiting years for this to come back and are no doubt out to prove something.
That's what I feel like the community is right now, is just, Brood War players just playing this now. So it's just like,
our time has come!
Yeah.
Really? Are they going to be doing much remastered at BlizzCon, do you know? Or is it just, it's out?
I mean, there may be a tournament. They haven't shown the schedule. Actually, that wouldn't surprise me now at all if they on the StarCraft 2 stage, if they have a StarCraft, like a Brood War set of games.
Just bring back some of the older players. That'd be great.
I think they'll probably do some show matches with it, honestly. That would make a lot of sense.
Like in place where they usually have like the Archon tournament. I think just swap that out for Brood War.
Give me Flash first, Jaedong, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. For sure. That'll probably be taking place right when I'll be at the con before the storm, so,
And I will be texting you laughing that you had to miss it.
No, I'll just stream in like, hi guys, I'm watching StarCraft, yeah.
Bring them to con before the storm.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely recommend checking it out, especially, I mean, like, obviously the whole entirety of the first game plus Brood War's campaign is remastered as well, and it is worth it just for that. I mean, like, that's what I was, like, partially really excited for, because that's the only StarCraft I played as a kid, not the multiplayer, but the campaign, so kind of going back and seeing how good that was, it is still so much better than Wings of Liberty, so I definitely recommend checking that out. Like, even you, Britzza, I would recommend checking it out. Even as a non-StarCraft savvy person.
Yeah,
and it's only $15. Like,
yeah.
$15 for the amount of story that the original StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War provided is a steal, man.
Yeah. And, that's a WoW token. So just sell some flasks, or sell some, gems, and you'll have it in no time. Actually, wait, the price of WoW tokens got jacked up right when Remaster came out to like 150K here in US.
But because everyone was buying Brood War and Remastered with them, so
and Destiny.
And Destiny,
Because Destiny 2 appered on the launcher like the same day, didn't it?
It did.
We got 2 new games on the Blizzard launcher, or excuse me, the Battle.net launcher. It went back already. The Battle.net launcher. 2 games.
Oh god, yeah. Can we talk about that in a moment?
Yeah.
And how
absolutely
silly that was.
Let's just transition to that right now. We've said our piece on StarCraft 2, or StarCraft Remaster. So Blizzard has already reverted their decision, and it's gone from Blizzard to Battle.net again. Like, Battle.net is staying. I don't really know why that ever happened, but yeah, because nobody stopped calling it Battle.net, right? Like,
no. And it's a really silly marketing thing, because they had something that everyone knew about. If you talk to people who are loosely connected with gaming and said, oh, you could buy that game on Battle.net, they roughly knew what you were talking about. It's a bit, it's not quite as popular saying, oh, you can get it on Steam, but people knew roughly what Battle.net was, and then they just ditched it.
Well, can you imagine if we just one day said, we're no longer Geeks of Azeroth, we're the Warcraft jugglers? Like, I mean...
Yeah, it's. I mean, in
We
fairness, they were
could
trying
do
to.
that.
No, no.
I mean, in fairness to Blizzard, though, and to play devil's advocate, I see what they were doing because they were trying to strengthen the Blizzard identity by saying, right, if you're playing Blizzard games on a Blizzard platform. But then we talked about it when it happened, and I don't know if we talked about it nearer to when Destiny was announced, but the idea of having Destiny on Blizzard net was just silly.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it now seems like it's right because it's back to what people know, it's what people have been using, and you're now having non-Blizzard games showing on it. So having it called Blizzard Net would never have really worked, I think. So
Yeah.
Good job,
Plus,
Blizz.
Battle.net is just super catchy for some reason.
Yeah, it's been Battle.net for like 20 years. I mean, come on, like it's just ingrained in people's head at this point.
You go there to battle.
Exactly,
That's it.
exactly.
It's in the name.
Yeah, and that makes, like you're saying, that makes sense for Destiny, right? Like it makes sense for Destiny to be on Battle.net, but it's not a Blizzard title, so you know, yeah, that makes sense. On the note of Destiny. Again, though, like Destiny 2, open beta, August 29th through 31st on PC. So if you are interested in checking it out, it will be free to play August 29th through the 31st. If you pre-ordered, like I did, you get to play it on August 28th. So definitely check that out. Now, sorry, I cut you off, Britzza. What were you adding?
No, I was just going to give a shout out to Pat Crane, who doesn't have to change the Battle.net news segment now.
Yeah.
So, well done, Pat.
All right. Anything else on that? Or you can move on. More news to talk about.
Only the best news.
So, I am changing my mind again. Because Blizzard has released their full schedule for Gamescom. And I am going to change my mind again. I do not think we're going to get an announcement of the next expansion. Because if you guys recall, a couple weeks ahead of time, Blizzard actually released a full thing saying, next expansion reveal at Gamescom. Well, Gamescom is in 2 days. Or, yeah, something like that. It's starting this week. And Blizzard has yet to say anything about that, but they have talked about that they're going to be unveiling a new hero for Heroes of the Storm. They're going to be talking about, or there's going to be the arena tournament, and they're going to be talking about 7.3, and there's a playable demo of the new dungeon. Nothing about like a new announcement is scheduled for Gamescom for World of Warcraft. Oh, and the new Overwatch cinematic reveal is actually happening.
And the new Overwatch map, which we haven't found out about yet.
Junkertown. Junkertown.
It's all
going to be
happening.
Junkertown. Totally
Oh, sorry.
I'm not saying Gamescon is Junkertown. I'm saying the new map is Junkertown.
Oh, right.
That's just a theory based on a voice line that was data mined from the PTR of Junkrat saying, we're going to Junkertown. So I'm predicting that the cinematic will be about Junkrat and Roadhog in the new map.
That would be cool.
But yeah,
That would be really cool.
I do not think we're going to get an expansion announcement. I think at the very least they will tease 7.3.5. But if they do anything of an expansion announcement, it would be just a very, oh, hey, and here's the title. Like, I don't think we're getting an expansion announcement, though. I think Return of the Queen will be announced at BlizzCon.
Well, definitely, like on the basis that they're going to be showcasing playable stuff of 7.3, it would just be really silly to start talking about the expansion because that would just steal all the limelight. So, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen. And it's interesting as well because by this time tomorrow, we would have seen a special preview video of all the playable content they're going to be showcasing at BlizzCon now. Not BlizzCon, Gamescom. Now, you could say that technically an expansion announcement wouldn't be playable content, but I think if we haven't seen it by this time tomorrow, i.e. when all the listeners here are listening to this show, then it probably won't happen.
So another reason they announced the expansion at Gamescom in 2015, or was it 2014? 2015, yeah. They announced it then. World of Warcraft was in a huge down spiral. It was losing players rapidly to games like Final Fantasy 14 were taking a lot of WoW's player base. And you know, patch 6.2 had just come out and nobody was playing it, so they knew they had to do something. They had to announce Legion. Just let people know that they were working on something. Right now, and we'll talk about it in the earnings call, but Legion is still doing very well. I don't think Blizzard's in a position where they feel like they have to announce the new expansion. I think they would actually almost be in a better position and impress people if they announced the expansion at BlizzCon with beta, like, starting immediately. Kind of a situation.
I'm 50-50 on it because, I mean, if you think back to Legion, do you remember how much hype was built prior to BlizzCon? Like, Blizzard pretty much said stuff like, hey, we're going to have artifact weapons, so you get to use stuff like the Ashbringer. And
details at BlizzCon.
Details at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at Blizzard's website like every day up until BlizzCon going, what are my specs weapons going to be? Because I want to know, right? Like, and even at BlizzCon, they didn't tell me. And I kept looking. Well, no, I guess it was released at BlizzCon, right? Like, pretty much everything was viewable at that point?
Yeah. All the artifacts and stuff.
To say just how much hype was built around this, half of our car ride back from BlizzCon...
Yeah, we read...
Yeah, I was... Tarley was driving, and I was sitting in the passenger seat on my phone.
Yeah.
Every chance I got signal, I would load more web pages of artifact weapons that were releasing and read the story of those artifacts. And that's how we passed the time. And it was amazing, and we loved it, and like we were just losing our minds over this stuff. And I don't know, I'm sure the same amount of hype would be built for like after BlizzCon, but not like leading up to BlizzCon.
See, I disagree with your point because my first BlizzCon was BlizzCon 2013, and that was before Warlords was even announced. We were still in Mist of Pandaria. We knew an expansion was coming, and then even like the weeks before, we were getting like name drops. Like the Dark Below was a name, and so we spent like the entire everyone in line to go into BlizzCon that year, where everyone was talking World of Warcraft because we knew an expansion was getting announced. So I think just the same amount of hype, if not more, will be going into BlizzCon if an expansion hasn't been announced yet, because we know it will be on the table. We know it's going to be announced, and everyone will be speculating.
Tinfoil hat time.
Yeah, what do you think, Britzza? I mean, do you think Gamescom or BlizzCon?
See, I want to try and be clever with it and think, well, if Ian Hazzikostas is currently in Germany, then technically an expansion could be coming. I think who's at BlizzCon says probably as much about what's going to be said as all the stuff we're about to go through. But I don't know. I totally agree with what you said, Gary. I just don't. I
didn't know. It was suspenseful. Who are you going to agree with?
Well, I totally agree that the hype being built up is going to be so much more important in the run up to BlizzCon because there's so much more happening this year. If we think about 2015 Gamescom, like you say, that Warlords was in a really dire situation, and on top of that, they didn't have this huge esports push they've had across all the games so far. I'm not even sure what state Overwatch was in 2015. Was it released back then?
Overwatch? No. It had been announced at BlizzCon 2014, but beta hadn't even started yet.
Exactly. So I think, in a sense, there was that massive vacuum that WoW had to step in. And even at Gamescom, they came out and they said, this is the cinematic. And they went through and said, we're going to have the Demon Hunters, we're going to have artifact weapons. And they had a good amount there. So I don't think there's a need to push that. Because if we look at like the stuff we've got, the breakdown of what Blizzard's doing, they have so much going on. In a sense, I think it would be a shame to announce the expansion then, because it would kind of overshadow all the cool stuff that's coming out in all the other games. So, yeah, in a way, I guess I'm saying I hope they don't, because we can wait till BlizzCon. We're not going to see much until BlizzCon anyways, even if they do announce it and put out some sort of cinematic. So I'm quite happy to let it pass. Personally, I think there's loads of great stuff coming out. There's a huge amount of content. I'm really hyped for some of the artist segments as well that come out, the voice acting segments. And I don't want to sit there and like have my phone beep up and say, you really need to be on another stream right now.
To be clear, I really hope they don't announce it, because I want to be able to rub it in other nerds' faces that I was there for the announcement. Like, just to be honest, because it's like a little badge of honor, kind of. And I haven't got to experience that yet. Because every BlizzCon I've been to, like, they didn't actually announce anything new. Yeah. Or, like, new titles or expansions. Like, they did little things like the Rise of the Necromancer last year.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, whoa.
Yeah. But I don't know, it doesn't compare to...
Yeah.
Hey, Queen Ashara is coming back, and N'Zoth is too, and you get to go hang out in the old god capital and drive boats and be a tinker and play as a Naga.
There's 2 possible titles for this expansion, and I'm going to put my bet on like either one of these. Like if it's not one of these 2, I'm going to be upset. Return of the Queen. Like just come on. Come on. Or Windrunner.
Windrunner, as in Sylvanas' expansion.
I feel like the Windrunners are going to have a huge part to play in this expansion. All 3 of them.
If what is coming out, patch 7.3 holds out, then yeah.
But we're totally aside the WoW thing apart, we're totally skipping out on the hero announcement for Heroes of the Storm is happening at Gamescom.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we're all solid that it's going to be Kel'Thuzad.
Oh, I want to talk about this. Okay. So Blizzard has been putting out these. Have you seen these animated thumbnails they've been putting out on Twitter?
Yes.
So yeah, I am not convinced about whether these mean what they think they will, because. Anyways, go on, Tarley. I'll let you explain. Sorry, I'm going to get fumbled
that's really all I had to say. Is I think it's going to be Kel'Thuzad. I mean, if you have a counter to that, either of you.
Part of me thinks that it's not just a hero though. Some of that stuff.
I think the Spider Queen. What's her name? I think is going to be one. What? Yeah. Zagara. Spider Queen Zagara.
Yes.
Crypt Queen.
Crypt Queen. Yeah. Crypt Queen Zagara.
But I also think it's just going to be. I think there'll be an event or something. I get the sensation that it's going to be some sort of event.
I think there's going to be a Warcraft event. There hasn't been one yet. I don't think they'll do an Overwatch event just yet. People have already been complaining about too many Overwatch heroes in a row, so I think they would skip out on the Overwatch event for now. But a Warcraft event hasn't happened. There's obviously lots of hype for Warcraft. Let's do a Warcraft event.
Oh, linked up with a Heroes of the Storm event. Maybe that, like some of the maps have been changed or something's going on. That's what I'd like to see. I wouldn't want to just see, oh, here's all this stuff for a hero. I'd like to see a 2-3 week event. You know, tied in with some of the stuff that new map,
like a Rothi Basin. Like I want a battleground from World of Warcraft as a battleground in Heroes of the Storm. Alterac Valley, what if like something like that.
Yeah, but what if they changed up some of the old maps? Like, you know how they're doing with the brawls?
Yeah.
Like, what if the visibility is down to 0? Like, or near enough 0 in some of the Heroes maps. That would be so weird and fun.
Yeah.
Probably not the best context to launch a new hero in, but still, who cares?
What did you just link in Twitch chat? Oh,
There's a new spoiler today for Heroes, actually. 41 minutes ago.
Jaina?
Okay.
Dreadlord Jaina. Is it going to be a skin? Look, her eyes are green. Dreadlord Jaina.
Her eyes are green. All shall feel the touch of despair as the darkest secrets of the Nexus are revealed. Jaina's a Dreadlord.
Yes!
Oh, man.
Oh, if Blizzard plays off that idea, Justin brings it to Heroes of the Storm, that would be so awesome. Yes, please give us Dreadlord Jaina as a skin. That would be so cool.
So I really do think it'll be Kel'Thuzad, though. Honestly, like, so this one may not fit nearly as well, but the other two, one of our guild mates, one that we actually had on the show a while back, Zeta, brought up at one point that a lot of the teasers look very Naxxramas themed, right?
Yeah.
Like the first one, the Crypt Queen Awakens, looks like a Crypt Queen Zagara that's very much Arachnid Quarter looking, you know, for Nax. The next one looks, I don't know. There's plenty of warriors in the
I
game
want it
that
to
could
be
fit it.
Death Knight. What's her name?
Sonya.
Sonya. Death Knight Sonya.
Yeah, and that's kind of the vibe I get from it too, right? Like, really cool axe, dual wielding weapons, and then so War Quarter, Sonya, right?
Yeah.
From there, we get Jaina, and I don't know what this is, but I'm hoping it's a Dreadlord for some reason now.
And that's what everybody's tweeting about too. Is just
they're saying it's Mal'Ganis. Or Mal'Ganis and Kel'Thuzad, which I guess they are going to be the strong favourites, aren't they?
So imagine Kel'Thuzad as the hero.
Mal'Ganis Jaina skin.
Mal'Ganis Jaina skin. Or maybe Mal'Ganis is the hero after him, or a Dreadlord of some form is the next hero. And they're announcing 2 at Gamescom.
That'd be cool, yeah.
And a WoW map that's Naxxramas themed.
Yeah. So there was it would fit so perfectly because there was a game mode in League of Legends. Like, they could honestly just completely do a new style battleground here, because there was a game mode that used to be in League of Legends that was circular, and you just like had all these, there were quadrants on the circle, and you just had to constantly be running around in a circle on the map trying to hold all of these points. That would work so well in Heroes of the Storm, and it'd be Naxxramas. Just a big circle with the different quadrants being, oh, come on, Blizzard. Gold right here.
Why don't we go a little bit further, though? Because obviously Hearthstone has had its Knights of the Frozen Throne, where it turned all of its it gave them all effectively a Death Knight theme. So what if, for this, Heroes of the Storm is going to give some of our favourite heroes like a Legion theme? So we get Dreadlord Jaina, we get, and Mal'Ganis is the central hero behind it.
It seems like it would be a Naxxramas theme if it Kel'Thuzad,
true, yeah.
Because so we'd be getting the Spider Queen, whatever. I can't keep remembering the name.
Crypt Queen.
Crypt Queen. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a skin for Zagara, which would be fitting, and then we'd get the Death Knight skin. So Plague skin. I think it'd be going along that line if they were going to do it.
Yeah.
So Plague Quarter would be the only part of Nax that hasn't had something spoiled, right?
Yeah.
Because I assume
Abomination Rexar with the giant dog skin for his pet.
that could be interesting. Well, actually no, because there were 4 quarters, obviously, because they're quarters.
Yes.
It was Plague, War,
Plague, Military, the Spider, the Crypt, Arachnid. Help us out, guys. Help us out, Twitch chat. What's the 4th quarter out of Naxxramas? We'll get back to it. Snow, I know you're listening, and you're probably on WoW, so just go to Naxxramas and then tell us. Do this.
Or just open up the Dungeon Journal. Pretty sure they're listed in there.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
So it's Arachnid, Plague, Military, and Construct.
Construct, right.
I think we've got a good idea, though. Like, this seems like we're on similar lines, hopefully, to what Blizz is thinking. I say that with fingers and toes crossed, hoping that's what we get, and it's not like, here's a hero, and now you can get, like, a loot box when you log in.
Well, we've been theorizing that for quite a bit. We can move on.
Man.
You got
all right.
Something. You got something.
Yes. So I don't know why I didn't write it in Twitch chat, but Icarus just texted me. Because he's
texting me too. I don't know why he's not in Twitch chat, but whatever.
Yeah, right. So if it's KT, maybe a Stratholm event.
I saw that text. I don't think that's the likely way of them doing it.
I don't think it is either. But the idea is solid. Like, one team is trying to spread plague around Stratholme, and the other one's trying to defend it.
Be
like
interesting for
that.
sure. But I really liked the Naxxramas circular map idea. Like, come on. It's gold.
They could do both.
They could do
I mean,
both.
legitimately, most of the time with events, they do 2 maps, so...
That's true, but it does... I'm just... Yeah. I think Naxxramas theme, more than Stratholme theme, is more fitting just because of the pictures we're getting. Because we are getting the different zones of Naxxramas in tweets, so I feel like that's the way they're going.
It would fit. That idea would... Oh, no, actually, I'm thinking it wrong. I was gonna say I agree with you, Tarley, but I think the idea of spreading a plague does fit in with some of the maps. If you think like, what's the one with the ship where it keeps moving along? I can't remember.
Oh, the Blackheart's Bay brawl?
Yeah, like
yeah.
that. So that mechanic is in some maps, but maybe, yeah, I can't see them maybe jumping on that straight away. They're both really good ideas, though. Like, I would love to play either one of those maps.
I like some of the brawls get so boring, but then some of them are so interesting with like the Stitches pulling across the pool one that they did. So, yeah, I'd love to see a cool brawl based around an event for sure. If not an actual new map in game mode.
You know, it'd be interesting with a like Stratholme map, like an actual competitive one. Maybe when you push in the lanes, they stay pushed in. So, like, the further you push into a lane, it actually moves, like, the spawn location of your minions closer in.
That'd be cool. And like, actually, it'd be cool to actually have an asymmetrical competitive map where, like, there's just an attacker and defender team. Because I think it worked out for the Black Hearts Brawl, right? So...
Yeah, especially if it was done more... I don't know, like more long-term theory in mind instead of just like it's a brawl, so it can be kind of gimmicky and people aren't like building actual comps for it. Like, I think that could be a very awesome.
We have been on this
idea.
topic for quite a long time. We're gonna move on. So Gamescom is happening this week. We will find out all of the things we've been theorizing about, but it is time to move on. We're gonna move on to more news. So Blizzard has released their earnings call for Q2, and things are looking very good still for Blizzard. First off, of course, we see that Overwatch, I think they don't actually show it here, but I think the last numbers we heard was up to 45 million purchased copies of Overwatch. That is absurd. Like, absurdly popular. So good job for Blizzard. 45 million players in Overwatch. But the Uprising event apparently was very popular. The anniversary event from earlier in June did very well. World of Warcraft time spent has grown year over year in Legion, and it continues to outperform Warlords of Draenor. So that is great news. So that was one of the other reasons I'm speculating that they don't need to announce a new expansion so rapidly, because just time spent in game is just way higher than it was last year. Overwatch teams sold very well, doing very good for Blizzard, of course, because, $25 million. And Blizzard has made more streaming media rights deals across a number of franchises, excluding the Overwatch League. So whatever that means. But it's a good year so far for Blizzard. I don't think anybody's even
As always. Yeah, they are still making huge amounts of money.
Yeah. I'm happy to see the World of Warcraft that Legion is doing good still, like, because I think there was a point where we thought, like, we saw some information that it wasn't doing super well, but if it's growing year over year, then that's better than Warlords anyway. I would say I don't know, it's got to be over 5 million. I don't know if we're at 10 million subs still, but
well, I think with Legion, you probably had the initial burst of people, and then people who got burned out after they played it and quit. But then after that, people have slowly and steadily got back into it, because we bring up a lot that Legion was fantastic, right?
Right.
But Legion at the start wasn't nearly as good as Legion is now. Like, they've just continued to make Legion better over the course of this expansion. Like, a lot of the issues that we had when it started no longer exist.
I feel like a lot of the issues we had, though, were because we we weren't in a guild. We were doing it like on our own. I feel like joining Platinum Edge really kind of helped bring our interest back into World of Warcraft when it was like all three of us kind of quit playing.
To an extent, yeah. But
and I just feel like we've inspired you, Britzza. I know you just won't move to American servers, but it seems like you're playing more because we're playing more, is what I've noticed.
It is contagious. I agree.
But you should move to our server. I mean, you know.
If only there wasn't a thing called time zones.
just move to America, really. That's all you need.
Yeah,
there you go.
I should.
You should. Home of the brave and Nazis.
No comment. Can I talk about something else, actually? So, on the financial results, sorry, I was scrolling through it, so apologies if anyone can hear me scrolling with my mouse, but I wanted to see if I could find anything that underneath the numbers that was particularly interesting. And to get one thing out the way, interestingly, the Americas continue to be over half the revenue for Blizzard's. So 53% of their income for the last 3 months, and I think, it's about 53%. Let me check the same thing. Yeah, so 53% for the last 3 months has come from the Americas, 33% from Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and 14% from Asia Pacific. So I think it's interesting to note that America, and I mean all the Americas, are a huge source of income for Blizzard. But what's perhaps more interesting is the last 3 months, how console, PC, and mobile sales have compared. So as a bit of a guess, I'm hoping you guys aren't looking at this already, but what do you think the breakdown is between those three in terms of revenue for Blizzard?
I still
console,
think
PC, and mobile.
I think mobile is number one. I mean, Hearthstone is such a moneymaker for Blizzard. I would think it.
Okay.
I would think it would go mobile, PC, console.
But roughly, what percentages do you think?
75% on mobile, and then divide up the rest. Maybe not that high, but I think mobile would at least have 50%, honestly, of all the revenue.
Well, Gary, any thoughts?
40 PC, 30. No, that's not right. I'd say 50 PC, 35 mobile. Nah, let's go 40 mobile and 10% console. Yeah.
Right. And I'm glad I wanted to get your guys' opinion because I think this is going to shock you. The largest revenue income for Blizzard is on console.
Really?
With
What?
35% of the last 3 months came from console. That's 568 million. Wow. 508 million, i.e. 31%, came from PC, and 493 million, 30% came from mobile.
I completely had it backwards.
Evenly split.
But wow,
console is ahead.
Yeah, I guess you don't think about it, but when you hear 45 million people play Overwatch, that's probably a huge margin, more than you actually realize is actually on console. Because I mean, it's a shooter, it's a very good shooter, and a lot of shooter players are on console, like more than you think. And loot boxes are available there, so
exactly. And the game still retails at full price even now.
Yeah.
So that I think is really. I don't know what to. It's quite shocking, but in a good way, that console is the biggest moneymaker. So that might give us a glimpse as to where Blizzard is thinking for the next 6 months.
And I'm gonna have to argue with somebody in our Twitch chat. I try not to do that, but I kind of disagree with you, Jelliston. Yeah, he said that Blizzard should start focusing more on their fans and not money. I really don't think Blizzard is a company like when I think of a company that focuses more on money than their fans, I think Ubisoft or I think EA. Just purely focusing EA. Microtransactions and not gameplay. Like, I mean, look at Mass Effect. What a disaster. I've never thought of Blizzard as a company like that. I mean, yes, they are a company and they do stuff for revenue. That is how a company has to, keep going. But I just can't think of anything that Blizzard has done lately anyway that just seems for just purely monetary. We don't care about our fans. Like, you just don't seem to get that from Blizzard. I mean, yes, they just released a store mount in WoW example, but that's the first time they've done that since Legion came out. And obviously, loot boxes, they have increased the amount of legendaries you get out of them in Overwatch. Heroes of the Storm 2.0, you don't have to spend a dime on that game anymore. Hearthstone, I think, is the exception. Hearthstone is pay to win. We can't even deny that. But I mean, really, I just don't see Blizzard as being that malicious.
And I think the other big thing, too, is, like, Blizzard provides you with ways of spending your money on their stuff. And we do because we're Blizzard fanboys, right?
Yeah.
Especially me and Tarley. Like, Blizzard says, hey, we got this thing, you can buy it. And we're like, I think I will, because you told me that I could.
Yeah.
But most of the things that, like, Blizzard gives you to spend money on, you really don't need. I mean, Hearthstone, you could make the argument you can, but you can still get that for free too.
You can, yeah. I've told you how I've played Hunter deck consistently. It's the only deck I play, but I just completely disenchant any other card that isn't a Hunter card, and I managed to make decks.
And the thing with Hearthstone too is, like, yes, it is kind of pay to win, but at this point, it's a trading card game.
Yeah.
You want to know how much you have to spend to win at trading card games?
Yeah, people spend so much money on Magic the Gathering. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah, but now you can do it for free. It would be like, hey, if you go to your Magic shop and we'll give you the starter deck, and if you beat 3 other random people with that,
we'll give you more.
We'll give you a little bit of money and some more cards.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not.
It's a good deal.
That is a good point. And thinking like Overwatch too, like people complain about the prices of loot boxes or they don't drop what they want right away if they buy them. Think about everything else that Blizzard gives you in that game. So you pay for the game, then every hero is free. After that, every new hero is free. Every new map is free. Every new game mode that they introduce to the game is free. The only thing you have to pay for after you buy the game is cosmetic items, which you can still fully earn in the game with currency or get leveling up. So, again, like, yeah, Blizzard will absolutely provide you the way of earning. And the absolute worst case, if you don't want to pay for anything, just play WoW and make gold. And then you can still buy anything that Blizzard has to offer without actually paying real money. So, sorry, Jelliston, but my argument is complete. I am a Blizzard fanboy here. That is fair. But yeah, I just don't think Blizzard is a malicious company like EA.
But they are still a company.
Yeah.
Like, we can't deny. Like, they provide you with ways to spend money because they want your money. Because if they don't have your money, they don't keep making money.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they get a lot of stick. I totally agree with what you guys said. And I think they get a lot of stick for being a company. And I can see where that comment's coming from, because the thing is, when you're a Blizzard gamer, Blizzard has, and I think it's fair to say, has an active relationship with our wallets, in so much that you are never far away from the store, and there is always something you want in that store. So in a sense, there's always an incentive to get your wallet out. It's not like where you buy a console game. Like if you bought Fallout 4 on the console, yeah, the DLC might come out, but otherwise you buy the game, you sit down, you play it, and that's the relationship there. There's no massive pull for money. But when you think about the games Blizzard produces, like Hearthstone, if you compare it to like Magic the Gathering and other card games, like they will rinse your wallet dry just as quickly. So I think it's more about the fact that they're constantly trying to push new content, and unfortunately that content needs to be paid somehow. The only reason I can possibly think is if, you know, when people complained about the Necromancer pack, but either you pay for it or you don't get it. That's the only option, really.
That's true.
So I would say that what you guys said on this is totally valid, in that Blizzard is a company, it has shareholders, it's making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, that's not, you know, Mike Morhaime doesn't get to splurge that into a bag and run off into the sunset. He has to find ways to grow the company, and he's doing that in esports at the moment. Esports that we can all watch, but none of us will ever have to pay for. Hopefully, you know, it's not like they've got an online platform you have to pay $15 a month to be able to watch Blizzard esports.
That
EA
would be a money.
would do that.
Yeah, that would be a money grubbing thing
But
for sure.
Exactly, and if that happens, I'm all behind you on that. I'll be like, yeah, that's really cheap.
But what Blizzard has done is again, on that note, they've partnered with Twitch and the cheering system in HGC. That is so perfect. That allows you, if you want to, you can donate and you can cheer for a team, and you're specifically helping the cause, but it's not required to watch it, and you get cool stuff for doing so. So yeah. So point adjacent. Blizzard Blizzard is not an evil company. Let's wrap that point up there. We're running long here today. I think we will skip discussion of the week. We'll finish the notes and move right on to 20 questions. We don't really need a discussion of the week. I think we're fine without that. So
I think we just had it.
Yeah, we have basically in the news. So next bit of news. So we've mentioned them before. Tellius and Inevitel. They are YouTubers that do World of Warcraft content. They very recently just released a video, their most recent video, in fact, covering something that we covered 2 months ago. I just had to point that out. I love it. They used our theory. People watch us. It's fantastic. Anyway, their theory was, what are we doing with our artifacts after this expansion? And so they presented the theory that I presented, and then another one as well. So the theory that I presented being that we are going to have to sacrifice them in the final battle, or in the beginning battle of the new patch. We're going to have to sacrifice their power, and we're going to have to create our own. And that is how Blizzard will keep the artifact system relevant in the next expansion. Because, wouldn't you guys agree, it's actually a good system, could definitely use improvements, but it is a good form of post-leveling progression, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think the biggest thing with it is that it continues to make everything relevant. Like, that's the biggest bonus to it. Yeah, it's super grindy because people are trying to push levels, as Joker for real can attest. Grinding AP is terrible. But at that point, like, you also have to realize that if you weren't grinding AP, you might not be playing WoW, like, at all. Because why do dungeons? I've already got enough eye level to be in a raid. Why do pretty much anything? Also, like, the artifact skins give you a lot more motivation to do things that you normally wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I don't know about other people, but yeah, 9 ranks on 2 tins. Blech, gross. But, like, this is the first time I have ever been interested in actually PvPing at all whatsoever. Because I'm like, hey, that prestige skin for my artifact is pretty cool. And it makes me want to PvP. Yeah. Most of the time, WoW is a PvE game for me. So
or the Mage Tower. Like, that is hard content. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to do that so I can prove that I am really good at my class.
Yeah. And the reward is worth it for you, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we talked a lot about the Chromie event, but have either of you really seriously tried to complete it?
The Chromie event? No.
I haven't even attempted it yet. Yeah.
It's cool content, but there's no reward behind it. So
yeah.
There's no carrot, so why have the stick?
Yeah. So people complain about there being, oh, there's this endless carrot on a stick, but if they don't put a carrot on the end of the stick, then people don't do the content.
Yeah.
So people make up your mind.
Don't, but just know what's happening. Like, yeah, it's a good system.
It is. So I think Blizzard would shoot themselves in the foot if they didn't carry it over to the next expansion in one way or another, right? If they just went back to the old ways of just getting new weapons. So, yeah, they talked extensively in this video, which we will have in the show notes for you. They talked extensively in this video about my idea that we're gonna craft new legend or new artifact weapons, and you'll be able to in different professions we'll be able to make different parts of the weapon, like hilts and blades and jewels that go into it, like different stuff like that. And you can have a completely customized weapon, and you'll be able to name it. That's a big part. I want the lily stabber. That has to be a thing. But the other theory that they presented, which I actually really like this theory, is that old gods are going to want the power of our artifacts. And they're going to start whispering to us, making us think that our artifacts have become corrupted. And we're all going to throw away our artifacts to the Void Lords. And, it presents this theory this idea going into the new expansion that we can't trust anything. We can't trust our weapons. We can't trust our friends because everything is whispering to us. Because that's what the old gods do. They incite madness and despair, and that's a really interesting idea going into the next expansion, except for the Shadow Priest weapon. That one's just going to run away because it's already evil and it's already whispering to you, and it's going to be the final boss of the next expansion, the Shadow Priest weapon.
I don't know if it'll be the final boss, but I would love it if it was a raid boss. Like, hey, here's your old artifact. Yeah, well, it's pretty much awake now, and it's got a body, and it's going to try and kill you.
No, it's not going to happen. We're going to go to Dalaran, and there's going to be a new vendor there called Mr. Enzoth, and we'll just vend our artifacts to him.
Mr. Enzoth! Yeah.
And then he just runs away with him, like... Curses, that girl! Where were you?
So, I had another thought after watching this video on a potential story route that they could take for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are all of these artifacts probably getting their power from? Like, what makes them more than just a regular legendary sword or staff or whatever? And what if the source of a lot of these legendary items' power
Legendary
is actually because of Azeroth?
Right. Yeah.
Like, did Azeroth enable them to become the legendary weapons that they are today? And maybe because of the old god screwing with Azeroth, because, you know, her heart is a crater and we have filled it, they lose their power because the old gods are just tampering with Azeroth herself. And that's why we have to go save her, because we want our cool artifacts back.
Very good point. But I think Joker for Real in the chat room has a better understanding of where the artifacts get their power. They are purely channeled from Morgan Freeman.
Is that, are they just going to become toys where Morgan Freeman, you press it and Morgan Freeman start commentating on your actions in PvP or something like that?
But so it's an interesting idea. A lot of thought to put into what's going to happen next expansion with the artifacts. I really like your point, Gary. That is very interesting. But check out the video. We'll have it in the show notes for you. Let us know what you think is going to happen to our artifacts. So moving on. I don't even know if we have time to cover all of this, Gary. But just
we'll get through it in 5 minutes.
To briefly touch, StarCraft 2 is once again going through some major balance changes. So the hashtag dead game is still stirring in its grave a little bit.
Still hate you.
And Blizzard is shaking things up, even with their lead balance designer gone. It looks like they're still trying to make some changes, and they are drastic changes to how you're going to be playing StarCraft 2. Basically. There's more minerals and more gas at your starting base, or bases. So basically, keeping from being totally discouraged if an opponent blocks you from expanding out. That'll help a little bit with that. Good stuff. Mules from Terran can now farm gas. That is crazy. There is no more Mothership Core for Protoss. That is a huge gameplay change.
That is probably the biggest thing to have happened.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of changes to Protoss buildings, like the Nexus Chrono Boost is no longer just a place it on something and let it go. It's actually an ability that costs energy, so you can use it, but then you can't do things like the mass recall that's now straight on the Nexus, and the shield restore, which will help you micro through early game situations that your mothership core should have helped you defend before. I think is their idea with it. And then Zerg, our infestors got changed. Fungal growth kind of nerfed, but it's bigger. Just doesn't hit air. Infested Terran now hit air and take a lot less time to spawn while on creep. So I think Infested Terran, or not Infested Terran, Infestors in general are going to be much more defensive than they used to be.
And we'll see. Yeah. And of course, parasitic bombs damage getting increased, but it doesn't stack with other parasitic bombs. So that'll be, I think that'll be used differently. I think just the overarching thing to look at here is that Blizzard is, for the second time since Legacy of the Void has come out, they're making like expansion-worthy changes to the meta. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the pros actually work with these changes. I think we'll definitely see some shakeups in the competitive scene, and maybe more than 10 people will actually be online to play the game. Just trying to trigger Gary. Very easy to do.
Yeah, it is.
And then last bit of news, Britzza, you added this in here.
It's literally a last-minute thing. So a lot of people have been waiting for months to hear about when the various BlizzCon contests will be opening up. So that's the art contest, costume contest, movie contest, talent, and the talent contest. And they have all been opened. So you can now go onto the BlizzCon website and fill in all your details and get your submissions in. So that's really cool. I've seen some great cosplayers already get their forms in already, so a lot of people are jumping on this, and it's going to be pretty exciting, to be honest. Like seeing some of the ideas form. I know like Kaz from the Worgen's Howl is working on a great Hogger cosplay. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. There's some really other cool stuff I'm keeping my eye on Twitter, so definitely jealous of you guys for, once again being at BlizzCon.
Yeah. The competitions are always a great part of BlizzCon. I didn't actually go to them last year, but they're usually pretty enjoyable, as long as they're not happening right at the same time as a major esports event. I can't wait to see the Blizzard schedule, or the BlizzCon schedule. I hope that's soon, so we can start planning.
Yes.
Anyhow, that about wraps up news of the week, and we pretty much had a discussion within the middle of news of the week, so we are going to drop right into our new favorite segment of the show. It's time for Blizzard 20 Questions.
Geeks of Azeroth, the moment has arrived. Have you studied the lore? Studied the lore? I am the lore! It's time for Blizzard 20 Questions.
That's right, it's time for Blizzard 20 Questions. Thank you, Coltrane, as always, for bringing us in there. I love that sounder so much. Very good. Gary's got the answer today, and we've got the questions, so we're going to go ahead and get started with question number 1. Is this from Warcraft?
Yes.
All right, good start. We're off to a good start.
Off to the best start. Is this a character in Warcraft?
No.
Is this a location in Warcraft?
No.
Oh.
Is this an item in Warcraft?
Yes.
I don't like the hesitation there.
He's only doing what you did last week.
Oh, yeah. Fake hesitation to add confusion. Yeah. Is this an obtainable item in World of Warcraft?
No.
All right.
And we are, I'm saying this to Tarley, we are talking about World of Warcraft here, not Warcraft 2 or 3 or something like that.
We don't know, I guess.
Are we talking about World of Warcraft, Gary?
Yes.
Okay.
So an item that is not obtainable in World of Warcraft. Remember, Twitch chat, you can help us out. Your questions can be answered, and they don't count towards the 20 questions.
Oh,
He's bringing
trying to
this up because he doesn't know what to say.
I am bringing this up because this is already like a stumper. Like, what kind of item? Or is this a is this a weapon?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Not a weapon.
Not a weapon. All right. Not obtainable. Not a weapon. Is this an item used by a major lore character?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it toilet paper?
It is not toilet paper.
Please don't write that one down. That wasn't a serious question.
No, Twitch chat doesn't count anyways.
Right, yeah. Used by a major lore character. Not a weapon. Is this a mount?
No.
Is it a character? No.
Good idea, because it could have been. Well, actually, I was going to say it could be invincible, but that's only unobtainable for you, Tarley. So.
Hey.
I haven't got it either, so it's on me too.
Was this item introduced in the game during Cataclysm or after?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna be. I bet it's something like the Sargeras Keystone or something. That's not a guess, but it's what it's got me thinking of.
The Sargeras Keystone.
What's the Keystone? So the one that opens up
I don't know.
Argus.
I
can't remember.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, the one he listens to use. That's technically a non-obtainable item used by a major lore character. So, but that's what I'm thinking of. So.
Did this item open a giant portal in the sky leading to Argus?
No.
Ah. Well, we eliminated that as an option.
Yeah, we eliminated that one. So, did we introduce during Kata or after?
It was
this... Okay, let's be more specific. Okay. Was this item featured in Cataclysm?
No.
Okay.
So we've only got Pandaria, Warlords, and Legion.
Is this item in Legion?
Yes.
Okay. Whew. So we're going to run out of a lot of questions if we just knock off the expansions one by one. Non-obtainable item.
That's not a weapon.
Not a weapon. Used by a major lore character in Legion.
Is it a Mythic plus 20 Cathedral of Eternal Night Teaming plus Necrotic plus Tyrannical Keystone?
Not only is that obtainable, that is guaranteed on your first plus 20 Keystone that you ever receive.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure that that's actually true, but you know,
with
how our Keystones go.
I don't know if Joker was saying he has one of those, or if he was just making a guess for what the item is.
I'll never know. I'll never be at that level.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be at that level, to be honest. No, okay, so used by a major lore character that's not a weapon, not obtainable, and it's in Legion.
Is this major lore character from the Alliance?
No.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and ask the next one. Is this major lore character from the Horde?
No.
Okay. Right, how many non-factions?
Wait, I got it. Is this item... is this item still in development?
No.
Okay,
how can it be in the game?
Because it could be on the PTR, right? It could be something from the Argus patch. This is where I was going with that. But so, neither.
We did eliminate a lot of lore-heavy characters, I think.
It could be Illidan's blindfold.
Yeah.
Actually, I think
that's obtainable.
That.
Yeah, that is obtainable. Never mind.
Is it?
Yeah, back in old Black Temple.
BC. Yeah.
Is this item... can you hold this item? Is this item...
We can't obtain it, so you won't be able to hold it.
I know, but I'm more actually like trying to guess the size of this item. Like, what if it's the Centinax? I mean, like, you know...
Is it Argus?
Is this item the size of or smaller a toaster? Like, yeah. Is this item bigger than a toaster? Is a better way to phrase that question.
Yes.
Bigger than a toaster. Okay. Any help again from the Twitch chat? Oh god, we're already on 18.
18. Come on, Twitch chat. They're gonna need a hand on this one.
Okay. All right.
Hang on. So it's Legion, non-specific, non-faction specific lore character. So I'm thinking like Illidan, Maev, any character in Legion, because none of them are faction specific.
But not a weapon. Not a weapon.
But not a weapon.
And it's bigger than a toaster. That is important.
We could ask if it's a vehicle of some kind.
Yeah, I did.
That would.
I did. Well, I asked if it's a mount.
Yeah, it would be bigger than a toaster. Well, it'd be bigger than a toaster, anyways.
But it is bigger than a toaster.
Oh, it's bigger than a toaster, but it's not a mount because, like, the Exodar and things like that aren't
God.
mounts. The Centenax is not a mount.
It could be.
Let's just go with it. Gary, is this thing a vehicle?
No.
Okay. It's not a weapon. Not faction specific.
Major lore character. How many major? So maybe like a raid boss or something.
Okay. Is this item used by the Burning Legion? Anyone involved with the Burning Legion?
No.
Ah! God!
It can't even be a raid. No, it can be a raid boss.
What?
No. Well, yeah.
All right. Since you guys are down to your last question, before you guess, I'm gonna give you a couple little hints.
Oh, thank God.
Significantly smaller than the Centenax. You cannot obtain it, but it is usable. And
if you just give us its name, that would be best.
Major lore character that uses it, you could make an argument that he isn't a major lore character, but he is. And it's not a tumor.
Oh dear. Jesus. Non-faction specific lore character who doesn't see major but is. Who is
it's
that?
Not obtainable, but it's usable. What?
But not by everyone.
But not, what?
Oh no. Class item maybe.
Obviously. But so non-faction specific. What?
Right. Let's give ourselves 2 minutes to figure this out.
I have no idea.
Don't say it until we know.
The
What
Aegis
thing?
of Agrimar.
Whoa. Hang on, but everyone can use the Aegis.
Twitch chat suggested that, and no, it is not the Aegis of Agrimar.
Agrimar is kind of a major lore character anyway. He's a Titan.
Yeah, so see, that's what I mean. Like, you could make an argument that Agrimar is not a major lore character, but he is, right? Like, he's a Titan. He's a big deal.
I don't know. I think I submit to this one. I don't know. I've got nothing.
I'm going to give myself 30 seconds to think of something. I'm having like that house moment. Is it lupus? Probably is lupus.
It's never lupus.
Oh, not this time. Major lore character. He's not a major lore character, but they're not associated to the Burning Legion. That's the thing that's throwing me off. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Did we say that? Yeah, we didn't say they're not to do with the Legion of some kind.
We've got to end it here.
I would go with
yeah, like the Aegis of Agamar would be a good guess, but it's not that, so I got nothing. I have nothing. I've
got nothing. I say it's
yeah, just
Murky's magical flute.
The murky egg.
No, but that would be hilarious. It is drumroll. The Forge of Odin.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
How are we supposed to guess something we don't even know what it is?
What is that?
Be better WoW podcasters, I guess, is the answer.
It's obviously some warrior thing because he's playing as warrior.
The Forge of Odin is where you go to empower your artifact. We were talking about artifacts a lot today, and I've been playing my warrior. It was the first thing I thought of.
I mean, I have a warrior, and I just hated the class so much I didn't even bother to see like what their thing was. Oh, well. All right. Well, that one's a little biased, but okay, we'll go with it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, you can check out the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can catch us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause. Gary, where can we find you?
At Epic Geeks Gary.
And Britzza.
You can find me at Britzza_EG.
I'm glad we didn't like do a hot sauce bet or something because I have a new bottle of ghost pepper hot sauce, like really hot. I could have like bet to drink that, and I'm glad I did not do that.
Well, I get a feeling we're probably doing a hot sauce challenge next week.
All right. Yeah, probably. And you can always contact the show, questions, shout-outs, different types of hot sauces I should drink. Send all of that to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. Gary has a fly on his face. And
I do.
Remember, check us out at epicgeeks.co.uk. Otherwise, we'll see you same time, same place next week. Everyone have a great week in Azeroth. Bye-bye.